Yo, it's the Lavahot podcast, ready to broadcast. Add us to your contacts, steady your hard hats. We ready for work, we ready for combat. We know our worth, we confetti your contracts. Send them all back, still no help. Come hang, get trained, how to build your wealth. Build yourself a brand and just build your health. Toss the cards that you've been dealt, we start over now. Teach you how to feed the wolf, no need to cook. We tossing raw meat to rooks. Tune in, get it in, no need for books. We got it all, just listen, no need to look. Go! From an underdog to a living thunder god. We will show you how to build in this lumber yard. Show you the ropes, focus, anyone in charge. We'll say notice, get promoted from the undercard. Chase the title, make you viral. Live life in an upward spiral, never falling off. You want it all, dial in, baby, make the call. We all entrepreneurs, we here to take it all. From debtors to creditors, apex predators, begging us to let them in and vet them. Competitors never met a better educator, ready or not. We on the top floor, stop, see you in the elevator.
Hello and welcome to the Lavahot podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Connell. Today we're in for a treat. A buddy of mine just happened to be in town. Really, I've been trying to get this guy on our show for probably about a year and a half, and just timing wise, it's been really difficult. But let me tell you a little bit about our guest. So we have Shaheen Mazloom, founder of Versa Business Systems, a trailblazer in B2B sales, from his starts as a teen in sales to creating his own business, redefining client relationships and building business growth. His journey is one of innovation and hard work. In addition to that, he's also launched the Versa Business Tips podcast to share valuable insights from entrepreneurs from all over the world. Shaheen, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Glad we're finally doing this.
Yeah, it's been a long time. For those that don't know, I was actually on Shaheen's show a few months ago, and I think it turned out to be a great episode.
Yeah, definitely.
I apologize in advance if you listen to it. For some reason, my audio came through, and I was like, oh, I got to redo a new show with you or something.
We'll do that
But
for sure.
I always like to start every episode the same, which is kind of get the background of, where you started from. I know that you started in sales. Would love to hear the story of, like, one, how you got into sales, like what sparked getting into sales. And then from there, how you transition that into launching your own company.
Yeah. So, funny story, most people that get into sales, they start with like a sales job, right? And somebody asked me this the other day, and I would always say, oh, I started selling at Verizon. That was where my sales career started. And I was thinking about it the other day. So when I first moved to America, we moved into a older couple's house that was moving to Florida. And they kept all their stuff in Minnesota. And they were like, look, if you buy the house, you got to keep all our stuff because we don't want to take it to Florida. And so that was when I started my first business.
Right.
We would sell all that stuff. So every single weekend, even on the nights after school, we were having garage sales constantly, and we were upselling people. We never let people leave with just one thing, and, I came to this premonition like a week ago that actually that was my first experience with sales. And right. I loved it. I really did. And, I feel like I've been a salesperson my whole life. Grant Cardone says every human interaction, there's a sale being made, right? Like whether you're talking to your wife on, hey, where we should go for dinner, or you're trying to get your kids to do their homework or whatever it is, there's always a sale being made. But, as far as my career, as far as sales jobs, I started with Verizon selling, cell phones to consumers, and then got involved in business to business. I loved business to business. And, ever since I started doing business accounts with Verizon, I always stuck, working with business owners, whether it was selling credit card processing or loans or, I even dabbled in solar for a little bit. And then about 7 years ago, I started my company after working for a bunch of different companies that I didn't feel were truly taking care of their clients the way they should be. And I thought they were doing it wrong. I thought I could do it better. And, here we are.
That's normally where it blossoms. So, it definitely seems like me and you have kind of that similar upbringing. I didn't have garage sales. I had the candy bar sales in school. That's like your first initial introduction to door to door.
Oh yeah.
I try to tell my kids all the time that if there's one skill set that outside of what you do in high school and all of that, if there's one skill set that I could teach you that I think will apply to the rest of your life, it's going to be sales.
100%.
And I give those same examples because everything is a sale.
Yep. You're either selling or you're being sold.
So I want to know, like, when you first launched your business, and now you're 7 years in. I want to hear like a little bit of like how the company started, like what you first started offering, and then like the plethora of things that you continue to innovate and elevate into the business.
Yeah. So, starting the company kind of happened by accident. I started a company that was designed to help businesses get launched. So the idea was we were going to help people, get their LLC, set up their bank account, figure out what type of business they're going to be, build their sales processes, build their scripts, whatever it may be. Right. And my first client approached me and he wanted to start a credit card processing company. It just so happened I'd been selling credit card processing for about 8 years at this point. Right. And long story short, they were going to have to table the company I built. And instead of taking the $35,000 check, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this company for myself, keep your money. And so I started the company. The idea was we were going to pitch mobile apps. So, not enough small companies are utilizing mobile apps. It still blows my mind to this day because this is 7 years ago and it's still about the same. Like your local pizza shop, most of them don't have mobile apps, which is crazy to me just because of the features you can get even with a cheap app. But anyways, the idea was we would call businesses, say, hey, stop spending your money on radio ads. You could put that money into a mobile app and it can do this and geofencing and yada, yada, right? And then the idea was we'd set up their processing in the mobile app so they could see, hey, our rates are a lot lower than what you're paying at your business. Let's go ahead and switch over your business as well. So that was the idea. And, I had a call center, had about 10 sales guys in there in the first 30 days. We didn't sell a single deal. And I only had 2 months of expenses, and then I was done. So I had another 30 days to figure this thing out, or I didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I at the time I had a $500. I had just enough money, which was invested from somebody else to cover the first 2 months. And I'm like, man, I got 30 days to figure this out. And I went home that weekend. I'm like thinking about what products we can lead with. And the reason why we weren't selling deals is because we didn't have a reputation yet, right? So when we're telling, Joe's Pizza, hey, this is the best way to spend your marketing dollars, they look us up online. They're like, you guys just started. You got a mediocre website. You got no testimonials. You got no reviews. Like, why am I going to listen to you or trust that you know what you're talking about, right? And so long story short, I go home and I'm like, you know what? Funding. Most businesses have a hard time getting approved for capital. If we can just find someone that can get most businesses approved, they'll take the money, right? If you can get them the money, they'll take it as long as it's a decent deal. So I did some research, got connected with the largest business broker at the time, and they had a pretty good reputation and, built out a script and it worked. We were literally profitable in the first week. We had the highest closing ratio they'd ever seen our first week selling lending. And it was so much so that they shut us down. They're like, hey, we got to investigate these deals you're closing to make sure they're real companies, that they know the terms. And, they were blown away. And the main reason why we were closing, or why we do still to this day, is because we ask a lot of questions. And we make sure that what they're borrowing the money for makes sense. Because the fact is, if you have a bad credit score, you've only got 6 months in business, you're not going to get a super cheap loan, right? So, our forefront is to make sure that whatever they're borrowing, right, whatever they're going to end up paying for that money, they're going to make more than what they're paying for the loan. Otherwise, we don't even bother, doing the app and going through that whole process. So it's got to make sense at first, rather than just trying to close a deal just because we want to make some money. We want to make sure it makes sense for the business owner. It just works.
Housing.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. It's not penny stocks. It's not,
right.
It just, we had no interest in selling people things that they don't want, need, or it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, I mean, and I like that you hit on and it's so foundational, the fact that you just ask a lot of questions. And I feel like that's like the core building block to any great sales process.
Yeah.
And, for any business out there, if you don't have like a formalized sales process, even just investigating that, like what are some of the hard questions you can start asking a business, like even that, I would imagine it's a hard question. Like, what are you using this for?
Yeah.
Like, and then going under the hood with them and trying to help them decide that it's not the right thing for them to do. Like,
yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, a lot of business owners that are looking for money, it's just well, I know it takes money to make money. Yeah. And so we're trying to grow and we don't have a bunch of money in the account. And so sometimes they don't even have a plan when they're getting on the phone trying to get a loan. And it's like, dude, let's figure that out first, right? And so now we got to dive into, well, what problems are you having? What are you good at? What are you not good at? Like, where can we help you scale to where it makes sense to borrow money? Because if you don't have a plan and you got a loan coming into your account today, you got to figure out what you're doing with it by tomorrow, because they're not going to, you're paying for it right away. It's not like they're going to hold off your payments until you figure out what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to ask this, like within your service mix, because I know that there's a lot that you offer for local to mid-sized companies and beyond. What are some of like the big focuses for you now, like in 2024, some maybe untapped opportunity for local to mid-sized companies and beyond, where maybe they're not exploring things that they could start implementing into their business, or things that maybe they thought they could never add into their business? Like what type of?
Yeah. So, right now, credit card processing is a huge one. It's funny, on the Eastern Shore, especially in these like Facebook groups, you see consumers, complaining, oh, this restaurant started charging a fee for credit cards. Right. And so, dude, to be honest, 99% of our clients, we're setting them up with cash discount, which is essentially charging a fee for credit card processing, but they don't have to pay with a card. They can pay cash, and it's just $10. If they use a card, it's $10.40 or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, most consumers complain about that because nobody's ever explained to them that it's that small business that's paying for your air miles, Karen. You know, all those air miles you get, Karen? We're the ones having to pay for that, right? Because you want to use your card to get your pizza, right? Your cash back and all that. And most consumers don't understand that. And so, the funny thing is, like, we've had business owners like, oh, I don't want to get a bunch of complaints. I don't want to lose customers. But when you do the math, 10% of people actually notice the fee. 10% of those care to even say anything. Well, if you're saving 3% every month and you're losing 0.5% of your customers, you're way up. Like, you know what I mean? But besides credit card processing, I mean, dude, we got a huge problem in this country. Yeah. Mental health and addiction are the main two, right? Like, most people that have a mental health problem aren't getting treated or don't have counselors or don't have access to that stuff because they don't have benefits. And, so we've really started focusing on the preventative health initiative, where we can literally get any business that has 5 full-time W-2 employees no cost benefits, from marriage counseling, alcohol and addiction counseling. I mean, dude, you name it, life insurance policies, veterinary care. I mean, it's crazy. And the business not only doesn't pay for it, but they're actually making money. They're making on average $5 a year for each employee in tax credits.
Wow.
So the employee's not paying for it. The employer is. I mean, it's a complete no-brainer. And, even if you just started your business, you can still get access to programs like this. And most people don't know that, right? Like, Amazon has hundreds of people that are scouring for programs where they can save money, right? That's why they make billions and they literally get tax refunds. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they're the only company out there that can make billions and not pay any taxes. Why? Because they have a whole team of people that are taking advantage of all these different tax credits and codes out there, right? Where most small, medium-sized businesses don't know about them. So we're just trying to get the word out and help as many businesses as we can, man. Like, dude, we're talking to companies like Gucci and UPS that didn't even know that these programs are out there, So it's not just the small businesses that aren't in the know. There's some huge companies out there that don't know about it either.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to pivot over to the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I know at the very beginning, you were reaching out and I helped to whatever capacity I could, at least help
me more than anybody. I mean, honestly, dude, like, I'd have been lost without your guidance, to be honest. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything in life, like even just giving like that initial, like, hey, like, this is what Mike, I think, and this is how to try to dial some of this stuff in.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do it, right?
It's like, and it kind of speaks to your bio, which is it's not just the hype of like, oh, I'm going to go buy the shit. It's then buying the shit, putting it together, then actually doing it.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, just look at me. A lot goes into it. It's a time investment. It's a money investment. There's definitely a lot that goes into it. And I'm willing to bet that you probably started your show from the same angle I did. I mainly just wanted to be able to have bright minds like Shaheen onto the show so he can share these things that businesses might not even be thinking of, or maybe they've heard something about a certain type of program or something in marketing. But I definitely want to talk about your show a little bit and really uncover from you, like what prompted you to want to start the show, and then what you've seen, like, as you've been going through that, doing interviews of your own.
So, honestly, it happened by accident. So I don't know how I managed to do this, but somehow I changed my email to Versa Business Tips. Don't know how, but I noticed it one day and I'm like, that sounds like a good YouTube channel name. So I created Versa Business Tips, a YouTube channel, right? It's designed to share business tips and strategies and information for businesses. And, I'm looking through my videos one day and I'm like, it's just all me. It's all me talking. I'm like, and then I started seeing people doing podcasts, more people doing it. I saw you starting to do it. We went to a 10X growth conference. They were talking about it. Went to a marketing workshop. They were talking about it. And so I knew I needed to do it. It was just, finally pulling the trigger and buying the microphone and talking to people. Hey, would you come on? And dude, I love it, man. Like most of the people that I've had on, I had some sort of relationship with before.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot from every single one of them. That I wouldn't have known had I not done the podcast, so it's helped me tremendously, but it's also provided a lot of value to other people. And dude, that's what it's all about for us, man. Like there's millions and millions of businesses out there. And, I had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, dude, why are you giving out all this free information? You could be charging for that stuff. Like, dude, like, I don't want to be a penny pincher, man. Like there's, I'll make money regardless. Like there's plenty of businesses out there, I just want to help people. I feel like what goes around comes around, right? Like you put good energy out there, you're trying to help people, like good stuff's going to happen. Like that's just the way it is. And, that's what it's all about for us, man. Like I didn't have much guidance when I started this business. I thought I was going to, and it turned out I didn't. And so for me, it's been a lot of trial and error, man. Like I've been on my last dollar many times, and then all of a sudden I figure something else out, and it's been a lot of trial and error. So I just wish I had more access to free content. Like Grant Cardone's great, and I've learned a lot from him, but he doesn't dive in deep enough because he sells those programs that dive deep. And so I get that, but I didn't want to do that. And I don't think I ever will, really. I mean, maybe one day I'll do how to build a lending company or something like that as far as a program. But as far as just helping businesses scale and do the right things, and, I just like sharing the information. I like talking about it.
Yeah. And that's kind of my experience with Grant too, is, I would say he was the first, business content creator that I really locked into. I have listened to Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, and a variety of other people, but when I first locked in, it was okay, sales is going to be my deal. I remember I wanted to learn how to effectively cold call. This goes back 2015.
Right.
And I just saw a YouTube video of Grant's, and then I went down and saw another one. And then within a couple of weeks, my closing rate was going up.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy his program. I'm going to buy the Cardone University. They have some sort of lifetime deal.
Yeah.
I actually bought it from, I bought it from Jared Glant. So he was my rep when I bought it.
No way.
That's cool. I guess the cool part, and it was really what kind of pushed it over, was they gave me a discount on the first Growth Con, and I got to do a 45-minute one-on-one with Grant.
That's cool.
I was like, yeah, sold. Let's roll. And, which was cool because I was going to do it anyway. I already knew, I was waiting for a commission check, basically.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was. I love that he does pour out a ton of information.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, then there's the second layer of okay, well, exhausted.
It's with intent. Like you can't knock it, but like it's with intent. It's, you know, hey, I'm going to provide you enough value to see a benefit so that you purchase my, you know, my program to dive in further. And dude, I think it's genius. He's literally creating his own clients, right? The main goal is really to help people make more money so they can invest into card-owned capital. Like that's freaking genius. You're literally creating your customer base. There's not enough rich people, so let's help create more rich people so they can invest into me. You know, it's like, it's genius.
Yeah, I definitely, I respect the model, and I respect, I mean, it obviously it takes money to scale a business, to be able to hire reps. It takes money to launch. I think he's at like 17 different companies, and then to do what he's done in real estate. What has been interesting over the last year, mostly in 2023, was Alex Hormozi's approach to it.
Yeah.
Like where this guy's just give.
I work closely with the guy who built Alex's sales team, Sean, and I've learned so much from him, man. Like that's who I do the preventative health initiative with. Very cool. So he and his team, they actually created that with the tax codes. And so they're our partner on that. And man, it's crazy. So Alex is an awesome guy, man. But like, it's what you don't realize happens in the background. Like it's not Alex that built out his sales process and his sales team. Sean did that. So when Alex is talking about these killers, and he's not talking about himself, he's talking about Sean. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, I always thought it was, you know, Alex is the top dog, but he's learning from somebody too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one cool thing. And it's why, like, I like his content. I also like Layla's. Like, you know, she seems like she's more of like that operational structure of their company. So, it's cool to kind of learn from people like that, where, you know, in the books, they talk about the setbacks that he had when he first launched Gym Launch, and then like how he did a Shaheen on him, and it was like, okay, well, we got like now to figure it out, and we just need to do it. So we got to get into action. But no, in terms of like that giving of content, what he did for 100 million offers, one, I think, was a brilliant way that he marketed it, and probably had one of the most successful book launches of all times. But he had built the course for $100 million offers with like this hype and expectation that he was going to charge for it, and then ended up giving it away for free. He was like, oh, it's on my website. It's absolutely free. Anybody can go there. You can take our entire course on, you know, $100 million offers. He even gave away the book and audio. So it's like, it was like a shift in that entrepreneurial space where traditionally you give, and then you maybe have an ask in a webinar and ask for like, hey, come to our program. It was kind of cool to see like a shift in that mindset, which I would imagine has rippled through that entire like entrepreneurial content creation community. But speaking of content creation, outside of the podcast, you've been hammering social media. You've been pouring into TikTok. You've been pouring into Instagram. I apologize in advance, people. I do not have his stats for Instagram, but I know your Instagram. How many followers are you?
I think on Instagram we're at like 80-some thousand.
So I mean, that's solid growth. I mean, that's
I mean, I've only had TikTok for a little over a year. I think we're at a few, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 there. You know, I mean, YouTube, we only started taking it seriously in maybe the last 6 to 8 months, and we've already got almost 3,000 subscribers there. You know, I mean, it's just been. The crazy thing is, so I've always tried to do at least one post per day on each platform, but I was never really consistent with it. About, I'd say 8 months ago, I hired a content editor, a video editor, in the Philippines. Went to onlinejobs.ph instead of paying one of those brokers that charge you $10 an hour. Right. You know, so I hired myself, and she's great. I think I pay $4 a month, and she does all of my videos, and she's tickled. She's making good money. She does great work. And so anyways, I started then getting consistent, posting once a day. And every now and then I would try to post 2 in a day. And I noticed one would do well and the other one wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so I stopped doing that. I'm like, maybe I just do one a day. And so I ended up meeting this guy who's got millions. This guy's, he's like 19 years old. He's got millions and millions of followers on YouTube and TikTok. I say, hey, bro. He was asking me information about the Preventative Health Initiative. He's one of my affiliates that submits deals through us. Yep. And so I was like, hey, man, do you mind looking at my social media? I was like, but, I tried to do 2 and it did, he's like, bro, you got to do 3. I'm like, really? I'm like, so two's not good, but 3 is? He's like, yeah. And so I just said, okay. And I literally just started putting out 3 a day every single day. And I've been doing it now consistently. Monday through Friday, I do it very consistently, 3 a day. And we've maybe been doing it for 3 months. And dude, our numbers have just gone through the roof compared to what they were. We looked at something today, and between all of our platforms, we had over 3,000 new views from people that weren't following me today. Like that's 3,000 people that now know who I am. I think that's great. I mean, I'm sure there's people doing way better, but like, that's pretty cool.
Especially if somebody like first gets started with posting. I mean, and this was a reference, I think either Jared Glant or Grant said at one of the marketing workshops. They were talking about like when you first start posting videos, you're not going to get a ton of views. Like maybe you're like that unicorn that just like, it's like this crazy pop. But what will happen is if you shift your mindset a little bit and you think like, okay, well, 200 people saw that video that you first launched. That's 200 more people that didn't know anything about you for starters. And if you equate that to a room, like if you were in a conference room giving a speech about one topic for a short stint,
right,
having that opportunity to say it to 200 people in a room, like it feels different when you think about it like that.
Exactly.
Where it's like 200 people are here to hear what I have to say.
Right.
And then maybe that same 200 people are going to go to the next video and watch, or at least a portion of it. So it definitely comes down to expectations.
Well, I mean, I started really diving into content when, so when we first, we used to send a lot of mail out, right? Yeah. And about 6 months ago, I decided to just send one mail test out. And almost every single person that called in, it still wasn't great numbers like it was back in the day. So we didn't continue doing it. But almost every single person that called in had said that they had seen me. They mentioned me specifically, or they said they knew who we are. They'd seen our stuff on social media, almost every single one. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So it's not even always about what you get from, the comments and people messaging you and whatever. Absolutely. It could be something 6 months from now where, you shoot off an email to a potentially new huge customer and they're like, oh yeah, I've seen your stuff on here or there or wherever, and that could be the difference why they respond or why they're willing to talk to you, because they feel like they know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And in $100 million offers, Alex actually talks something about that, where at one point when they were, not offers, it was $100 million leads. He was talking about like when they were running ads, at one point, they stopped doing the content creation and they realized that their lead flow started slowing up.
Yep.
And then what they learned is that their ads actually perform better when people had seen content as the forefront. So they initially saw content, then they see an ad, and then it's, oh, okay, now I'm curious.
Yep, for sure.
If I look at that and I just reference back to what I started with Grant, it started with, I saw a video, then I saw another video, and then it was, hey, you should, come to GrowthCon. So I reach out and try to find out information for GrowthCon. Hey, you should be on Cardone University. So it all I was a lead at one point, and more importantly, I became an engaged lead, and it all stemmed.
And a customer. Yeah.
The funniest part is, especially in the world of YouTube, is it stemmed from a video he had posted like 4 years previously. Yeah. Like it was a 4-year-old video that I saw where, it's, I love the shelf life of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. Dude, I had one video that I had posted it weeks prior, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, a couple people shared it like weeks later, and it just started going off like crazy. I think it's got like 30 million views now or something crazy. It's on my Instagram, and it's one of the stupidest videos I've ever posted. You know, like sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason. Like,
no, you're right.
You know, I mean, that's the only frustrating thing about content. It's like some of my videos do really well, and I'm like, why? Like, why did that do well? And I did something so much similar like 2 days later, and it didn't do anything. You know, it's weird, but you know, I mean, I think just at the end of the day, consistency is key. You know, and not just being all about one thing. You know, I was very guilty of being all business all the time when I first started posting content. And this guy Caesar owns a huge marketing company out of New York. I actually met him at Grant's office a couple of years ago, and he was like a third business, a third lifestyle, and then a third who you are. Yeah. Right. So, or no, it was like maybe it was motivation, who you are, lifestyle, and then a third business. And so I try to incorporate like my life, my family, you know, stuff like that. And then, you know, tips, and then, you know, information about business. And so instead of being all business all the time, like people want to get to know you, like they do, you know, they do. They want to know who you are, you know, who they're doing business with. It's not just all about the products. Yeah. You know, people like to do business with people they like, trust, and feel good about doing business with.
Right. Yeah. Well, as we get to the end of this episode, I always like to give every guest the opportunity to like share like where people can go follow you, you know, if they're curious about it, what you guys offer with Versa, you know, where they can go, how they can find you, how they can get connected, and ultimately go check out his podcast.
Yeah. I mean, Google Shaheen Mazloom, Google Versa Business Systems. You know, because of our content creation, we're everywhere. You know, we're on Forbes, Yahoo Finance. We're on every single social media. You know, we've got blogs and articles everywhere. Been on NBC, ABC. A simple Google search and you'll find us. You know, versabusinesssystems.com is our website. That links to all of our different stuff too. You know, we've started kind of crossing everything so that when you go to our website, you can get to our YouTube, you can get to our Facebook, you can get here, there, everywhere. And that's gone really well for our SEO, so that we're popping up everywhere, not just in the US, but also all over the world. And you know, it's exciting times, man. Like the last few months, we've noticed a huge spike in new views and eyes, and man, it's exciting.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to see it. You know, it's part of the reason I want to have you on here.
I appreciate you having me.
I see you working. I know what it takes just to do the podcast, let alone cranking out 3 videos per day. I mean, it's definitely a time investment.
Well, so dude, just real quick, it's really not, man. Like it seems like it is, but really so generally what I do, like my thing is I'll video stuff wherever I'm at. So like you'll see some videos where it's like cows and, you know, driving down the road, whatever. Like I've got this 3 camera that I'll just turn on when I'm walking down the street with my family in New York or whatever. Right. So I have content. I send all that raw footage, and then literally once a day, I'll take a minute to record 2 voice recordings, something motivational. I will take a 2-minute video. I'll do a 2-minute video using my stabilizer, and that's it. Cool. I take 4 minutes a day. I send that stuff to my content creator. I pay her $400 a month, and I get all the content I need to be able to post 3 times a day. Time, it's like, it seems like a lot, but it takes me maybe, I'd say 20 minutes tops. Yeah. As far as like thinking about it, posting it, and I feel like the reason why I wanted to cut you off is because I feel like a lot of people don't do it because they feel like it's going to take a lot more time. But if they did it all on their own, it probably would. Like you just need the right
like
tools.
You just broke a belief, like a limiting belief in my head. My head is thinking like it's going to take time to be able to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Like hear it in like this. Nah, like it's not. Do it. It's almost like that approach of like you just become the content. Like it just happens where you are.
Exactly
where you do it.
You know, you don't realize it. Like you're thinking about this stuff all the time. So instead of thinking about it, talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you're driving down the road, like you'll see some stuff. I'm in my car. Like if I think of something in my head, I'm recording it right then and there as I'm driving down the road. You know what I mean? Like no matter where I'm at. And, it's amazing how quick you can get a ton of content. Like I've got a folder of 28 videos still that I haven't posted yet. Wow. So I cannot record for the next week or two and still have enough videos to post every day.
Heck yeah.
It's wild how quick it adds up.
Yeah. There's a light on me. One last thing. As we wrap up this episode, if you go to the lavahotpodcast.com, you can just search for Shaheen. You'll be able to see his bio. We're going to make sure that we have his website there. We'll have his social media links right there into that profile. If you're listening to this on audio, you'll be able to find the video and you'll just go right to YouTube or vice versa. But with that, Shaheen, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Very glad we were able to get you on the show.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me.
Cool.
Thanks, brother.
You've been listening to the Lavahot Podcast with Joseph Connell Jr. Do you want to level up your business? Then visit us at golavahot.com for a free marketing analysis.